Hey, it's OG Math Mosley. Today we're going to do a review of percentiles for AP Stats. So let's get started. All right, so percentiles. Percentiles help us describe the location of a value within a distribution of a quantitative variable. We can't really use these for categorical variables. We're simply looking at quantitative. So what is a percentile? Percentile is in everyday use, but there is no universal definition for it. The most common definition of a percentile is a number where a certain percentage of scores fall below that number. You might know that you scored a 67 out of 90 on a test, but that figure has no real meaning unless you know what percentile you fall into. If you know that your score is in the 90th percentile, that means you scored better than 90% of the people who took the test. So it just allows us to rank things based on how it falls within the distribution. A quick little graph kind of illustrating this. We have the 20th percentile on this red line here. This means that 20% of the data falls to the left, 80% of the data falls to the right of that data point. So there's some commonly used percentiles within statistics. One of those is the 25th percentile. It's also known as the first quartile, or Q1. We've got the 50th percentile, which is generally the median, the more commonly used name for that, or we can call it Q2. The 75th percentile is also called the third quartile, or Q3. These quartiles break your distribution into 4 chunks of data of equal amounts. Right, so we have Q1, median, Q2, Q3. It divides the data or distribution into 4 equal chunks of data points. All right, so first, interpreting a percentile. Suppose you scored an 84 on a recent test in econ. Your teacher then told you that your score was at the 95th percentile for all econ students. What does this mean? Well, let's look. We have a number line here representing kind of like all of possible scores, right? From 0 to 100. Right? So you scored an 84%. So your score, we'll say, is like right here. Right? Here's your 84. All right? And your score is at the 95th percentile. Okay, so that means that you scored better than 95% of the students who took the same test. Okay, so if we kind of think of right here, all over here, this is 95% of the scores are over here. Right? This also means, conversely, that 5% of the students who took the test, right, scored the same or better. Okay, so even though it's not a, like, maybe this would be like a B in econ if they're not like, you know, curving the scores or anything like that. You still did really well compared to the entire population of students who took the test, right? You did better than 95% of the students who took the same test. Only 5% of students scored the same or higher. It could be that you have the top score. We don't know for sure. All right. So then, how do we find a percentile? Consider the following list of test scores, right? We're going from 12 to 99. I've already ranked these from smallest to largest. You must have your data ranked from smallest to largest in order to find percentiles or quartiles and do this kind of analysis on your data. Let's suppose that I scored the 83. That's my score. Right. This so happens to be the 14th number in the distribution. 19 numbers total. So there was 19 students who took the test, including me. Because I'm the 14th score, there's 13 numbers or 13 scores lower than mine. We need all of these pieces of information in order to determine the percentile that my score is. Right, to calculate the percentile my score is at, I need to determine the percentage of scores below mine. That's why we need this 13 and we need this 19. Right, so 13, the number of scores below my score, divided by 19, total number of scores, is going to give me approximately 0.68421, which we can say is equal to 68.421%, which we will then round to 68%. All right, when we're dealing with percentiles, I want whole numbers. I'm not going to be at the 68.5th percentile or 68.4 percentile. It is going to be a whole number. So I'm going to convert this to 68%. Right? The number here is less than 5, which means I round down to 68. I do not round up to 69. This means that 68% of the scores are lower than mine, so I'm at the 68th percentile for the class. It's important that you say that you're at a percentile, you're not in a percentile. Right? That's a specific verbiage that they're looking for on the AP exam. You should say, I am at the 68th percentile, or the score is at the 68th percentile. Right? We can also kind of work backwards to find a value based on a given percentile. Right? That's the nth percentile. N is just the placeholder for whatever percent we're putting in there. Let's say that I want to know what value is at the 30th percentile. All right. Consider the same list of test scores that we've used on the previous example. So again, there's 19 numbers total. I need to calculate the location of the number at the 30th percentile. Right, to do this, I use this formula. We do 19 plus 1 times 0.3, and that gives me the value of 6. The 19 is the number of numbers total, right? 19. 0.3 is 30% as a decimal. I want the 30th percentile. So as a percentage, that's 30%. As a decimal, it's 0.3. Now we have to add this 1 to essentially account for counting. If there's 19 numbers total, right, it's impossible for someone to score better than everyone in the class, because you can't score better than yourself, right? So to ensure that we're not miscalculating and saying that someone did better than themselves, we have to add the 1 to make it so there's one extra value, so to say, that no one is better than, right? So that's why we have to add the 1 every time, right? And that gives us the 6. 6 is the location of the value at the 30th percentile, which means we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And a 43 is at the 30th percentile, right? And that is our review of percentiles. There will be other applications which will be using percentiles in future videos here. But for now, this is our review and introduction to percentiles. If you have any questions, please let me know. Other than that, bye.